Okay, you guys, we are going to get started into our business session this morning. I'm really excited to teach you. I am pulling today from two books, and I've just got to put down my stuff, and I'm going to show you guys my slideshow. Can everybody see that? Can everyone see that? Okay, we are developing products. So I was trying to decide what was going to help you guys the most as you're starting your design or your art businesses. I always say design business, but art businesses work the same way. In fact, at the University of Arts and Design, which we have our fall semester on here, one of the things that we have going on is that you can get an emphasis in visual arts. And so that grouping is just art. Like it's a more art emphasis. There is like a capstone that's a painting and illustration class directly in that. And so that emphasis is really geared towards our artists, and they do an art capstone. And so I say design business, but the truth is any kind of creative business that really wants to focus on creating creative products that you are going to make in one way, shape, or form. You have to really understand how to develop that product and how to develop a brand around that product. And I have two frameworks that I'm going to go over with you that come from a couple of my books on this. So are you guys ready? I hope you're here for this. I hope you really like this and that it's helpful to you. Okay. And actually, Design Suite members, I haven't lectured on this particular thing really like this before. And so I think all of you are going to get a lot out of it as well. And then, of course, those of you who are alumni, there was an email that went out this morning. So go check that out for you guys. We have some new cool things that we're coming out with for alumni and also Design Suite. So we're going to be doing several announcements at our virtual conference September 3rd. So a little bit on that. Okay. Most people don't realize this, but we're actually three different companies here. Carina Gardner Inc. is the design branch. This is where I am doing all my design work, selling my designs on all my platforms. Design Suite is our educational professional development program that many of you are a part of and that you have to be a member of in order to speak at this particular event. And then we just started the University of Arts and Design, which launches off its first cohort this fall on September 3rd. And we're really excited about we're almost full of the master's degree program. We have a few spots left in our design certificate program for this fall. But we're really, really excited about those that are going to be joining us for that. We are mostly a graduate program at this point in time. I don't know how much further we're going to go with that, but we love the graduate program area. And then, of course, certificates, undergraduate certificates. And that has been its own undertaking all by itself. Okay. So this particular lecture here is for anyone who wants to narrow down their focus to create a product that sells. And one of the things that I keep seeing is people don't know what they want to do. They're like, I love embroidery, Carina, and I love SVGs and die cuts, and I love stickers, and I love painting. And here's the thing: as a creative, we love doing a lot of different things. That means that the sky's the limit, and this is a really wonderful thing. This is why we get into the creative business, because our hearts are full of all the wonderful things that we can do. And so then the hardest part of that is really narrowing down and deciding what we should do ourselves in order to make money, because we can't do embroidery and make clothes and do surface pattern design and do SVGs and remain sane, right? Because a lot of us have other things going on in our lives. You saw with Tiffany, like she's got a full-time job, right? Or Jennifer has 10 kids that she's really having to take care of. So a lot of us have a lot of things going on. So we really have to make sure that all the time that we're putting into our design business actually really counts, right? We really need to make sure that it counts. And that's what I really want to talk about with you guys here today. I'm going to take two frameworks that we're going to talk about today, and they come from the Design, Profit, and Prosper book and the Make Art That Sells book. So if you have these books, you will have read these two frameworks. They're both available on Amazon, hardback, paperback, Kindle, and Audible if you're looking for them. But I'm also going to explain these frameworks with you here as I go through it. I'm going to take a different angle on them a little bit today, than I have in the past. I think it's amazing. I teach, and I'll give you guys the link for the free class, for the master class for the Make Art That Sells. And I'll teach it one way and then I'll teach it a different way. And people are like, oh, that really jives with me. I understand now what you're trying to say, Carina. And sometimes if you just hear it at another angle, it's helpful so that you can use it in your actual business. I really believe in usability, and this is why I teach the way I do. The way I teach, my hope is that you actually come away with tactical things that will help you in your business. Okay. I don't teach you a bunch of like, go use social media just to use social media. I don't teach you to go build a brand just to build a brand. I try to really teach you guys things that like will actually help you in your current business today, not in the future, but today. And so because of that, you're going to see that I tend to be very pragmatic about it and less like woo woo woo, like, woo, this is all really just fun. It's like, here's a really pragmatic way to think about it. And then you can bring all the fun and fulfillment yourself to the project. Okay. So the formula in Make Art That Sells looks like this. Okay. And it's a little bit hairy, right? Because there's a whole book, and every chapter we're releasing one piece of this formula. So today we're not going to concentrate on the whole formula. You can go take the Make Art That Sells class for free. And I think Grace is giving you the link here, and I'll give it at the end of this presentation for you. You can take this Make Art That Sells formula and you can really dig into it and all the different pieces to get you where you need to go. Okay. We're going to concentrate today on just one part of it because I think it deserves a lot of talk. And that is our medium times theme times product and how it develops style. I think by really talking about this, my hope is that you as a new designer, you as a design suite member, you as a designer who wants to create a really fabulous business, or an artist who wants to create a really fabulous business, feels very guided in what you're doing. A lot of times what we see is people will be doing, creating a business. And then 3 months, they're like into it. They're like, I don't know if I'm doing well. I have no idea if I'm making progress. Maybe they've made a couple of sales, maybe they've made no sales, but they have no idea if they're on the right path. The goal of the formulas and the frameworks is to help you understand whether you're on the right path and when it's time to understand when you need to pivot. And I think if you understand this piece really, really well, then it's much easier for you to know when it's time to pivot. All right. So are you guys all good for this? Like, give me a heart, or like, yes, you are here for it in the chat. You are cool with it. And then you can ask questions, and I'm super happy to answer them and make sure that you are getting what you need from this. Kenzie, will you change to everyone? If you guys are on host to panelists, make sure and turn to everyone so everyone can see your comments. Thank you. It's so good to see you guys, especially the alumni here. Super duper fun. Lisa V said, best advice I ever heard from my biz coach is ask me to explain it another way if it doesn't make sense. Yeah. And so I really hope this really helps you guys as you're kind of moving forward. Okay. I'm here to teach today. Okay. All right. So let's talk about these three things. And I can't even remember what chapter it is in this book, you guys. No actual clue on what chapter. I want to say it is like, because we start really digging into it. Chapter 3, maybe. Nope, because that's sales vehicle. Chapter 4, I think, is kind of, differentiate. I think is kind of when we really dig into it. So let's talk about the three different things at the top and how it develops style. Okay. So a medium is the actual way you create the thing. So medium can be oil painting. It can be on an iPad in Procreate. It's very often the software. It's in Illustrator. It's in Photoshop. It's watercolor. It's if you're like a mixed medium person, your medium would be like inks and collage, or inks and found objects. Okay. Does that make sense? So, you're trying to choose a medium that works for you. Why is medium so important? I don't love in the chat. Why do you guys think medium is so important? Okay. Why is medium so important? Aparna said, I love this book and I'm still reading it. I do not want to finish it. It has all kind of awesome, realistic information. I love it. Tamar says, focus. Yeah, absolutely. Focus. Why else? Does anybody know why medium is so important? Andy says to know your stuff. Yeah, because what happens is when you focus on a medium, like if it's your oil painting, you become better at it. You're more expert at it as you focus on one medium. If you're in Adobe Illustrator, if you're focusing on that one medium, you will become expert at it. Okay. Yes, Vivica says the more you use the medium, the closer you get to expert levels. Colleen says paper is my medium that everyone has access to. Yeah. Okay. So you're choosing something that other people have an access point to. I love it. Jeannie says medium lights the fire of your soul to make what you want to create. Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So good. So medium allows us to get really good at that specific thing. Sorry, you guys, I'm already losing my voice today. I've been doing a ton of videos and podcasts and teaching because of the university. So it's like every day I'm losing my voice. And we had our team retreat this last weekend. Okay, so medium's so important because the actual thing that you get into, the better you get at, the more expert you are. This is really important for a lot of reasons. Okay, the first is medium should not hold you back. I know that people don't think of it that way, but medium should not hold you back. How many of you felt like you started a new program like Illustrator or a font program and it held you back because you didn't understand what it was capable of doing? The same thing happens in oil painting and watercolors. If we don't spend enough time in that medium, we actually don't know its capacity, its power, its limits. And so if we don't spend a lot of time in medium, we don't know what it's capable of doing. Okay, right? The second thing that's really important about medium is that it determines an overall look or feel. So you see underneath, we're divided by style. Medium determines style, guys. Medium determines style. So if I do, let's pretend Jennifer and I are both making tulips. She had that gorgeous tulip embroidery thing. Okay. So her medium in that was embroidered, right? It was an embroidery digital file, right? But my tulips are in SVG. The look and the style is different, and it's because of the way that it shows up. A digitized embroidery file is really set up and lays out differently than a layered SVG file. Now, how about if I was doing it in oil painting and I was drawing tulips in oil painting? That's going to feel and look different than something that shows up in surface pattern design that was designed in Adobe Illustrator. So, what you don't realize is your medium actually determines a lot about your style. If I'm working in ink and collage in my medium, that's going to look really, really different than a digitized Illustrator file, right? So a lot of your style and the underlying feel of it, even if you have the same theme or product as someone else, is being determined by medium. Does everybody understand this? Because this is really important because a lot of people don't realize that the choice of medium really determines a lot about your brand. If you're making everything in watercolor, your brand will show up in that way. There's a few different artists, I can't remember her name, on Instagram that I love watching, and she only works in watercolor. But she digitizes stuff and it ends up in tote bags and all these other things. But because she only works in watercolor and it's getting digitized in that way, guess what the look and the feel is? That style feels and looks like watercolor. And even though it's showing up on a lot of different products, it has a similar feel and style. All right. Okay. I love it. So, so good. Carla says she loves the book. Excited to read it again. My medium is paper. I love it. Colleen says paper has way more opportunities than I could have even imagined. And I feel this way about all the different things. It's really, really cool. Vivica says, Colleen, absolutely. I've always loved beautiful papers. I think that's why I'm enjoying making the 3D cards. So many possibilities. I love it. Aparna says, my medium is digital cut files. Something Carina introduced me to. I want to get into 3D villages. Ooh, I love 3D villages. And you'll see people get really upset because they think, oh, you can't get into the same thing as anyone else. I would really differ with them. Aparna's villages are going to look different than my villages, are going to be looking different than if Vivica decides to do villages because of the style. And you're going to see that as we do these three things, because what will happen is what comes out in your style is going to be very, very specific to you. Okay. And that's why the world is your oyster when it comes to creating and making your brand. Okay. So everyone understands medium, right? Medium determines a lot of things about your overall style and look. And when you dig into it, it really differentiates you, not because of medium itself. We might all be in oils. We might all be in watercolors. We might all be in Adobe Illustrator. That actually doesn't matter, because what matters is the mix here that you're about to create. Okay. Then the next step is theme. Now, themes can be as narrowly focused or as wide focused as you want them to be. The more narrowly focused you are, the easier it is to differentiate yourself. Okay. So, for example, if my themes are always going to be kawaii characters, so like Japanese little like cutesy characters that are really simplified. Okay. If that's my theme, it's going to be easier to identify my work because I'm constantly showing up with that theme, right? It could be as broad as boy stuff, right? It could be that broad, right? It could be as broad as feminine I'm trying to think of like something a little more niche down than just feminine or lady crafting supplies, or themed out like beautiful. It can be as niche down as florals or vegetation or botanicals, right? Generally people don't usually just do that thing, but it might be one of your main themes. And I want to say this because sometimes people get into multiple themes. That's okay. At the beginning, we start with just one main theme, because if we can dig into that one main theme, then it's really, really helpful. Okay. Does everyone understand theme? Theme is really not hard to understand, but it will differentiate you guys really a lot. Okay. So already with two things, I'm going to tell you this, like say someone in Design Suite comes to me and they say, I want to do Adobe Illustrator and I want to do flowers, right? Then someone else comes to me and says, I want to do watercolors and I want to do flowers. To me, those are two totally different groups of things, right? You're already starting to stylize and differentiate yourself. Now, what if two people come to me and say, I want to do Illustrator and I want to do flowers? That's okay. That is all right. Okay. Why? Because you're going to start differentiating with style eventually. Okay. Then we add the third piece on, and sometimes this is the differentiator itself. Okay. So your product might be wallpaper, your product might be fabric. This is what we call the usability piece. If you do not have a usability piece, and I see this all the time, you guys, people will make lots of art and they don't have this usability thing. What happens is they just like make stuff and then they're like, now what? What do I do with all this art? I've been oil painting for years and I have 200 oil paintings. What do I do with it? This is not the best way to go about it, because it's not art that sells. It's art that you just enjoyed making, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. But man, if I'm going to be making art, wouldn't it be great if I could also sell it, right? So that's what I really want you to think about here. Product could be tea towels. Product could be SVG files. Product could be art prints. Not my favorite, but it can be. Product can be invites. Product can be stationery. Product can be journals. The more specific your product is and the more of an inside scoop you have on products that currently sell, the better it will be for you. Okay. Does everyone understand products? Products can be anything. Okay. This is actually why this particular formula also works for my children who are in animation or in authorship, right? Because this exact formula works for not just art, it works for rights. Your product would be a book or a manuscript if you had a script. Your product would be a short film if that is your final product, right? So this formula works for a lot of different things. So the reason medium, theme, and product are all over style is because almost everyone, even if you have the same three things up there, end up developing a style when they do this lots and lots of times. So let's look at some examples of this. Oh, I guess I had this right first, which is, what is the point of each of these things? So medium helps beautify, okay? The way we create it creates a beauty and a style in and of itself. Theme is to help beautify and provide focus, right? So that we know what we're creating when we sit down to create. It really does a couple of things very quickly for you. If you always know what medium you work in, if you always know what themes you work in, when you sit down to start creating, what happens? You're very focused. You're not wondering, should I be working on an embroidery file today, or should I be working on making an art print in oil today? Right? Like, you know exactly what you're doing. And that is really actually very powerful because it's less decision making. How many of you here have decision fatigue? I certainly do. Like, I have to make a lot of decisions during the day, and there are lots of little decisions we make all the time. Like, so for example, I have to wake up in the morning and then I have to decide what to wear. That's one decision. Then I have to decide if I'm going to brush my teeth or not. Usually I do. Right? Then I have to decide if I am going to go downstairs and do X, Y, and Z, or feed the animals. Like, we have a dog and two cats, like, first thing, right? I've got to make that decision. So you're making all these little decisions in your day. And what happens is your willpower starts to diminish as you're making all these decisions. So if I don't have to make a decision when I sit down to design for the day, if I don't have to make a decision about what medium I'm working in, I always work in Adobe Illustrator. If I don't have to make a decision about what my theme is going to be, I always work on XXX whatever products. And then I don't have to make a decision about what product's going to be. I only design fonts or whatever it is. Do you know how easy it is to start my day in design work? There are no decisions being made on the hard stuff. Instead, my decisions are being made on the fun stuff. So what's the fun stuff? The fun stuff is actually deciding, like, what theme I'm going to work on. Let's pretend I'm doing fonts. So I use the Glyphs app. Glyphs app is my medium, and Illustrator. I use two for it. My theme is I want to create like sans serif fonts or handwritten fonts, whichever one I decide. And then my product is a font file. Okay. If I know that's what I do, when I sit down, I just start drawing an alphabet and I start playing with it. And I start thinking about how thick I want the lettering. And I get excited about, ooh, can I add, like, maybe I'll add little hearts to this, and this will be like a bubbly heart one, right? All the fun decisions that we like to make as designers suddenly become a lot easier. Do you guys see how this can be super duper powerful for you? Super duper powerful. I love all these, like, when I ask, like, do you guys have decision fatigue? Like, I do, I do, I do. Yes, I love it. Ooh, I love all the things you guys are saying in the chat about what you can do. I love it. So good. I love the raise hand. um, Yes, I love it. So good. It's okay to have, Kenzie just said, I have two mediums. That's okay. Most of us actually will probably go through multiple mediums in our lifetime, but the more narrowed down you are as you're working in a specific medium. So, like, for example, I do fonts, but I also design fabric. And I also design SVG files, and I also design clip art, right? So I have actually lots of product types, and a lot of them actually happen in different mediums. That's okay. That's sometimes our human need for switching things up, right? But generally, when we get started, we should be focusing down on one thing at the beginning and really focusing in on it. And that's really the point of this. It doesn't mean that you can't switch around and move things around as you're going. Okay. All right. Because there's lots of reasons to continue to move forward. Okay. So this is such a powerful formula for one main reason, right? If let's just say Randy said she's on information on overload, but let's pretend Randy and I both have the exact same three things up here at the top. Maybe we're both in watercolor. Okay, so we're both watercolors. Maybe we both watercolor, our themes are always flowers. And then our product is tea towels. Okay, even though those are the same things, through the development of me doing it and Randy doing it, both of us doing it, we will develop our own style in it. And that will be the differentiation factor. But here's the really powerful thing. Say Randy actually isn't in tea towels. Maybe Randy is in journals and I'm in tea towels. Even though we both do watercolor and both do flowers, we have different products. Suddenly we're in two totally different fields, even though we do the same types of things, right? So a lot of times people think the product market is oversaturated because they just see all the stuff instead of really paying attention to the fact that people's mediums, themes, and products are usually different. And then to compound it, the style is different on top of it. Does this make sense, you guys? Yes. Yes, I love it. Okay, this is making sense because here's the thing. I think once you kind of dig into these three things, you'll just feel the power of what is possible for you, which you guys, there's so much possible for you. Really, really powerful stuff, okay? All right, so let me give you an example from the book. I'm going to give you two. This book, you guys, by the way, is a mini art history book. Every chapter focuses on an artist. So when we talk about when we talk about the starving artist, Vincent van Gogh is who we start with. When we talk about this piece of it, we talk about Norman Rockwell. We talk about Pablo Picasso a little bit later on. We talk about Andy Warhol here. I'm going to show you his as well. But they did this so very well that it's really easy for me to put it directly into the formula so you guys could see how this works. Okay. So let's talk about Norman Rockwell. So he's an oil painter, right? So that was his medium. He was always doing all his work. And this is, by the way, you guys, this is why they become so powerful and so well known for the thing they do. Because if you do one thing very, very well over and over and over again, it is very easy to build differentiation, which in the end builds brand. Okay. I love it. Okay. So oil painting was his medium. Scenes, his theme were scenes from American life. That was his theme. So good, right? And then his product was magazine covers. So he would always do stuff for the Saturday Post, right? Every week you'd get another Norman Rockwell front cover. So fascinating. Through that, he developed a style, and his style was realistic, narrative storytelling, humor and wit, and social commentary. And this is what differentiated him from everybody else. You would look at a Norman Rockwell piece and you would know it was a Norman Rockwell piece, right? By the way, guys, differentiation, you'll see it in the book, is just brand. Differentiation is just brand. That's all it is. Okay. Does this make sense for you guys? Does this make sense? And his sales vehicle was commissions, which we're not talking about today. If you come to Design Bootcamp, we'll talk about sales vehicles. We don't talk about the formula in this, but we talk to you about like the actual sales vehicles that you would be working. Okay. To me, this makes total sense. And look how tight his themes are. Look how tight his mediums are. And look how tight his products are. When you are super tight in a particular category and you're doing a very specific thing and you do it over and over and over again, you cannot help but develop brand. Does this make sense? Okay. So he did if you do this exact thing, you guys, I'm trying to show this to you because you can do this exact thing. If you can do this exact thing, it is very easy for you to develop your style and you're kind of adding to that and differentiate and create brand. And in this day where AI is very junky looking and hopefully it gets smarter and thinks smarter and does better, that you will find your way because you're going to create your own brand. This is really powerful stuff, you guys, if you're willing to do the work to make it happen. Instead of being scattered and all over the place, it doesn't mean you can't have multiple things going on, but it's just at the beginning, really focus down, and then you'll kind of tweak this as it works for you. Andy Warhol, okay? So his medium, silk screen printing, you guys, which has a specific look to it, right? Silk screen has a very specific look to it. It's very different than Norman Rockwell's oil painting. Has a very specific look at it, okay? His theme, consumer culture. So he was only doing, he was doing the Campbell's soup. He was doing Marilyn Monroe. His themes were consumer culture. Okay. That's a pretty broad theme, you guys. So it's okay to have broad themes, but he really had it dialed in, right? His product, canvas. It's okay if your product is art prints or canvas, as long as you do it so well that you can build a brand. My friend David Mickle, who came in, if you want to go watch the YouTube channel and want to see a video of him and I talking about his work he did the Utah signs, he did the work for Wes Anderson's film Asteroid City. Like, he has a specific look. So it's very easy for someone like a Wes Anderson to see his look and be like, that's the look we're going for, right? We want that Utah dry look that he has, right? That's differentiation and brand. The more you can dig into that, the better that's going to be for your business. Is everyone good with this? Everyone understand how they need to use this? It's kind of a deep dive because I really think that every single one of you can do this and build a really phenomenal brand for yourself. And it does take time, right? Norman Rockwell developed style. Andy Warhol developed style. It takes a little while. And you might come in and choose a medium, a theme, and a product, and you don't like the product. And so you keep finding until you find the right product that works for you. Or what if you find that your medium and product are perfect, but you just don't like your theme? You're really struggling with theme and you keep trying different themes, right? What I see people do, this is really important for you to understand. What I see people to do is they say, none of this is working, and they scrap it all and throw it to the side. That's usually not the right thing to do. What they usually need to do is they have medium, theme, and product, and they say, okay, so I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. Okay. And they go, I'm going to change one thing here. Maybe it's just my theme that's not selling this. Maybe it's just my medium that's not selling it. Maybe it's just my product that's not selling it. And you change only one piece of this formula, not scrap the whole thing and start all over again. When we scrap the whole thing and start all over again, we are starting from scratch. We are starting from the very beginning. Versus if we only change one thing and we continue to change one thing over time, then it's not such a jarring thing. It helps us continue to still build our brand. They can just see the evolution of that change. Okay, you guys, I love that you say this is perfectly clear, because I want this to be an easy thing for you. It should be an easy thing, because without knowing it, when you get your medium, theme, and product together, you will start building style, whether you like it or not. It happens naturally because we're creatives and because of what we're doing. Okay. All right. So really and truly, you guys, with AI and other new tech, it is more important than ever that we develop style, brand, and adaptability. These are the things that we are really, really trying to create for ourselves. Super duper duper powerful. I'm getting a phone call right now. It's from American Fork, which makes me worried that it's Sarah. Is Sarah here? Are you not calling me? I want to make sure she's not. So, okay. So I love it. So good. Yes. So, okay, good. Sarah, it's not you. Okay, good. Okay. So this is why this is so important right now, you guys. I don't think that AI is going to replace designers. If anything, it's going to actually, I think, make the industry so that those that are willing to up level themselves will really up level. Everybody else will just be kind of flatlined. So you really have to up level to get to that level. Okay. Now let's do the quickest, maybe not the quickest, but dig into this particular model. So this model, I was hoping I had my book on I don't. Oh, I have it behind me, you guys. Comes from this book, Design, Profit, and Prosper. Okay. So this model is in this book, also available in paperback, Kindle, Audible. It's the first book I wrote for this industry. But this is called the Good, Better, Best model. Okay. The reason I want to talk about this is because so often what we see happening is that people get stuck at the good, and they're just doing good stuff. And they're just like, I think one of the things I heard, I took a bunch of designers to a retreat to Missouri Star Quilt Company's town, Hamilton, Missouri. And they look at the shelves and they go, I could make that. I could make that. I can make that. There's nothing wrong with I can make that. It's really just an observation, actually, when you think about it. But the key is that you don't want to just be like the person who could design that thing, right? That good enough thing. You want to design above it, right? That's how people get manufacturing deals and contracts. That's how people are able to create products that sell so well. Because it's not because it's just good, it's because it's better than the stuff that's currently out there. Once it's out there, it's fine, it's good, it's great. But you have to build higher and better because of it. And so I always say that there are two things that happen here. It happens at the micro level and it happens at the macro level. So software and understanding software is what we call the good level. And we can make stuff because it's basic, it's easy, even intricate stuff that's created in the good level. That's just like what else is out there, right? Okay. It's just like all the other stuff that's out there, right? The stuff that's better has visual clarity and focus. So it's more understandable. It is different. It shows a different point of view. It makes a lot of sense to us and it inspires us very often. The very best stuff out there is customer appropriate and has high functionality. So let's use the example of a logo. Okay. I think most of you probably right now, whether you're a new designer or an old designer, could make a logo right now. AI can go create a logo right now, and it would just be good, right? You just make the logo, and it is what it is. Okay, that's software tech design information. That's just understanding how to create good information. Okay, there's good. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just good, right? Okay, so what's the better level? How about I create a logo and we'll pretend that it's for like a real estate company, okay? And in that logo, not only do I use words, but maybe I add like an interesting line and it looks like the roof of a house and I create some things on it so that it has all of these things to it that make it really easy to read. So when I go to the real estate firm and I show them this logo, I can explain it. I can say, well, the reason I chose this is because you can see how wide open the letters are. And so I can read it very easily from far away. So if you want to put this on a billboard, it's going to be easy to read even when it's small. Okay. So you're like trying to explain why you're choosing the fonts you did. And then I put a roof on this because it's really beautiful. And so it has a nice focal point and my eye is drawn to it. Okay. That's understanding and taking it to the next level. Does everyone understand that? Right. So we're giving it visual clarity and focus because we can use vocabulary as a designer. We can explain why we did what we did, and it makes sense. Usually at the good level, it doesn't always make sense. It might accidentally make sense, but like the designer behind it can't explain it to make sure that it makes total sense for why it's better, why it's going to help that real estate company. Okay. The best level is customer appropriate and high functionality. So maybe not only did I choose a font that's very open and legible, but it also really captures the essence of this particular real estate company. So for example, maybe I choose an open font that's has a really wide X factor or X height factor, X height, okay? And it's super wide. But this particular company, they are very highbrow. They're very sophisticated real estate agents. Maybe a super wide font feels too cutesy, right? Or too whimsical. So instead, I choose a font that's a little more vertical, has a little bit more length to it. And it makes a lot of sense for the real estate company because it feels a little more sophisticated. So I've not only captured legibility, but I've captured essence and brand in a way that's very customer appropriate. Okay. Then furthermore, when we go put it places, say we put it on their website, it looks really clean. It matches the rest of their aesthetic, has high functionality. All right. Okay. So these things really, really matter. And a lot of people aren't digging into these. They're like, I'm going to start a design business and I'm going to learn Illustrator. And guess where you are? You're at the good level. There's nothing wrong with the good level. It's where we all start, right? but that's where you're stuck. You're stuck at the software level because that's all you've been taught or that's all you've learned. And that's how to use software good enough to get there. Most people never reach better best. I see this all the time. I see it in Etsy shops. I see it on YouTube. I see this in coursework that people teach. A lot of times people always ask me about surface pattern design. Surface pattern design, you guys, in my opinion, is one of the lowest levels of design. Why is that? Because most of the time, if you can get to a point where surface pattern design is like creating a great repeat, okay, that's pretty good. Like you can create an amazing, beautiful repeat, and then you have illustrations. When you do poster design, brochure design, portfolio design, logo design, you have to be better and best. Why? Why are those so important? Because you have to have focal points. You have to have reasoning behind your choice of fonts and the way you create things. You have to understand flow of eye movement and how to bring people in. There are a lot of different things that are involved that are only a little bit involved in surface pattern design when creating full repeat patterns. And so people don't even realize that because they're so busy trying to learn the most base level that they often don't learn the higher levels in order to make sure their stuff gets really good. That's why when I see like actually designers who have like full education, when they go to surface pattern design, they're able to produce really, really great stuff because they're able to use some of those concepts of focal point and white space and really kind of can dig into why they layer things the way that they do. Okay. All right. So does everybody understand this? This happens on the micro level and the macro level. Okay. So at the micro level, I'm just going to show you guys this example of the good, better, best in play. And this is the way I used to teach it when I taught at the University of Minnesota in my design foundations class and how I teach it now at the University of Arts and Design. So this is a damask that I did for Ciao Bella, which is a line I did for Riley Blake a while ago. And my initial damask that I built was this green one that you see here. Now, I hadn't chosen the colors yet or anything like that, but it's just the design. Look at the natural spacing on it, you guys. So it goes up, has a couple of little bumps and curves, and then has a top at the top, okay? And then it's a little bit harder to see, but like look at the inside piece of the middle one. That's better, okay? So the better one does have a little bit more interesting of a shape, right? So it goes up, it has a little more cleaner, but a few more bumps, and then goes up and then rounds up and then has a point, okay? So it's just a little different. It's a little more organic, has instead of the flat lining on the outside, it has a little more leaves and kind of like flows out, feels a little more organic. And then of course there's a secondary damask, you guys can see it, to fill in the space between those damasks, okay? The third, which was my best, which is what ended up getting submitted and printed, and Riley Blake never saw the first two, right? Like those were just my renditions of it. But the best piece has a much more organic feel. It has like a much more cleaner shape to point, right? Almost like more of a teardrop shape. The in-between pieces fit. And then furthermore, it has intricacies inside the damask itself. So it's not flatlined. It's got like an actual another layer sitting inside of it. So it's actually 3 colors, not 2 color damask. It's not like a tone on tone. So there's been stuff done to actual color. There's been stuff done to intricacy. And then there's been stuff done to actually make the shape and the white space look and feel good, right? These things do not happen by accident. I think a lot of times we get taught you just draw something and it's going to be great and it's in your own hand, it's your own style and it's fine. Style is developed, you guys. Style is developed. I don't know if I can say that loud enough and scream it to the whole world in design, but style is developed, okay? And so when we go from good, better, best in our work, in our daily life, not everything is going to always end up in best, right? But in a micro level, we're constantly trying to work towards better so that our stuff gets there, so that it rises above, okay? Does this make sense? Yes, I love that, Colleen. You're going to be in the master's degree program. So good, you guys. Yes. All right. So is the market really oversaturated? I think you guys know what my answer is, but it doesn't seem to matter how much I say it's not oversaturated because people really feel that it is. Is the market filled with people? It certainly is. It's filled with lots of people trying to make it. What you need to do as a new designer or creative is these things that we're talking about: leveling up to get your best stuff, constantly working to better yourself to get your best stuff. Okay. That's the differentiator in the market. And then also doing this very thing that we're talking about, which is developing style and really honing in on your medium, theme, and product so that you can get there. This is a really easy roadmap that I've given you so that you can get there. And that's the point, you guys. Like, I really want you to get there. Okay. Okay. Any questions, you guys, before we move on? So I got through all my material. I wasn't sure if I was going to, but I'm always excited when I do to make sure that we're good. Aparna says, I'm still working on my style and that I believe it is developing. Still not there as it takes work and time. Yes, it does. It just takes work and time, you guys. And Aparna is totally right. So, all of you guys who are working towards it, you should feel the hope of how amazing it is that you're working towards it because it does take time. And people who won't get started now, it's not good. Just go for it. Just like we heard in the panel before this, like, just get started, just get going, you guys. Like, don't overthink it, just start developing style and use the formula to help you get better. Okay. I'm going to end today. If you do not have access yet to the Make Art That Sells class, it is totally free. You just need to go to designsuitecourses.com/make art that sells, or you can go to makeartbook.com. There's the second link in there. The book is available on Amazon, but for the masterclass, if you click on that, just put in the code make art and you will get that masterclass for free. Okay. So put in the code make art and you can get that masterclass for free. I'm super happy for you to take that. It will give you the rundown of the entire formula and what we talk about the book so that you can get there, which is awesome. And then those of you who are interested in Design Bootcamp, I would love to see you in Design Bootcamp next week or as we move forward. We are back to doing these live because I am finding the content is changing to really meet the market needs. So what we're seeing in the marketplace, especially with AI and with so much, I won't say, there's a lot of information out there and most of it is actually true depending on your point of view and kind of where you're coming at it. And so I like to answer questions live and make sure people are doing what they need to do. So if you want to come to a design boot camp, designsuitecourses.com/design bootcamp, I'd love to see you there. It's a pretty low priced offer. So come check it out. And it's really about creating a designer art business. Okay. It's not maybe creating designer art business. It is about creating a designer art business. Okay. And then last but not least, the University of Arts and Design. If you are interested in that, we are still brand new. We're only licensed in 23 states to give out master's degree and design certificates. So you're going to want to look at our list for that. But if you go to uad.education, our first cohort has started in fall of 2024. We have a pretty solid first class coming in. Really, we're kind of starting with 2 classes. We have 2 classes kind of starting at the same time. And then we'll be opening up our next semester for January, just here in the next little bit, if you're interested in the master. So we do a Master's of Arts in Design Business with 2 emphasis areas: visual arts and digital technology. And we have a design certificate. And the design certificate, there are 4 certificates you can get during that program. Okay. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. Okay, you guys, so good. I hope you all have an amazing day. Go enjoy all of the presentations today. If you are here watching the replay, make sure that you are on the correct presentation page. If you've never come to a summit before, this is the way we do all of our summits now. And that is at 8 a.m., we open up all the presentations, and there's a lot of them, and they're all amazing. Go watch them all, go grab the freebies, grab everything from those people that you can get and learn about them. They've got some cool stuff. You have 24 hours to watch everything. And then tomorrow we open up the next set of presentations. If you are new to this and you're just watching this maybe on another channel, you can go join us by going to designsuitecourses.com/event to see what our next event is, because we always have a free ticket that allows you to watch anything that we have for 24 hours on the days that those are available. And then, of course, there's an all access pass. The all access pass is dependent on price of where we are. So right now in the middle of the conference, it's still a discounted price. When the conference ends, it goes to full price. So we recommend you get it if you see that there are presentations there, and very often there are, that you really want lifetime access to. Those are available. I don't have the link to it. It's a little bit long, so make sure that you are clicking on the link either in the description if you're watching this on another channel, or clicking on the link on the actual page to get the all access pass. Or you can also go to designsuitecourses.com/design events. And if you go to that, you can also get access to any of our past summits if you would like them. All right. You will see these live presentations go up directly in the Facebook group. You will also see it show up on your presentation page. All right. Okay, everybody have an amazing day. Enjoy all the presentations. I will see you at 8 a.m. Mountain Standard Time tomorrow with a new panel, and we'll see you soon. Okay, bye guys.